See, after yesterday's class, we discussed about the functions. So, in second unit, first part is over. That is functions concepts over. And next topic in the sequence is arrays concept. Now, today we will see arrays. Now, coming to arrays, before going to arrays, why we need arrays concept? Now, see here. See, generally, what for we use variables? So, variables are used to store only one value at a time. So, variables are used to hold only one value at a time. Suppose consider a situation I want to store and display the age of 100 employees. I want to store and display the age of 100 employees. Then, what I have to do? I have to do these three things. One is I have to declare 100 different variables to store the age of 100 employees, and then I have to assign value to each and every variable, and next one I have to display the each variable. So this is the case if I want to store 100 employees age information, I have to declare 100 different variables, and each variable is going to hold single age of the employee. And once if you store, finally you have to display it. Now you just assume how your program generally it consists of all the variable declarations only. You have to use more amount of time for the declaration of variable as well as storing the value. Now just imagine if I want to store 1000 employees information or 2000 employees information, then your program declaration part it mainly consists of only the variable declaration. For that only it will take more amount of time. Then how we can resolve this problem? This problem can be resolved by taking with the help of arrays concept. Arrays concept. Now coming to the definition of an array, array is a collection of similar type of data items. So it is a collection of similar type of data items, and each data item is called an element of the array. So how I can resolve this problem is by using array concept. So the definition of an array is it is a collection of similar type of data items. So here what is my problem? I want to store age of 100 employees. So age is same type only. If you take employee 1, employee 2, employee 3, and then 100 employees also, the age is same type only. So if you want to store same kind of data, then what kind of concept we are going to use means we will use array concept. So it is a collection of similar type of data items, and each data item what we call means we call element of the array. Every data item, that means first employee data item is called one element, second employee data item is called second element. Like that, each data item is called element of the array. Now coming to the data type of the elements. Data type of element may be any valid data type like character I can use, integer I can use, float I can use. See, if you want to create an array with the same type means I can use these data types. All the data types that are allowed. Character data type I can use, integer, and then float also I can use it. And the valid data types, whatever I discuss, all the data types we can use. So with the help of array, what we can do, we can store same kind of data items. Coming to the another point, the elements of the array share the same variable name. Suppose if I want to store 100 employees age information means that 100 employee age, it will share the same variable name only. It will share the same variable name only, but each element has a different index number which is known as subscript. So every element is having its own index. Okay, element that means first employee age is having its own element, its own index. Second employee age is having its own index. Third employee age is having its own index. So what we call that one means that thing we can call it as a subscript. So all the elements share same variable name only, and every element is having its own index that is called as it's a subscript. It's subscript. Now see here how we are going to create an array. So array is created by using the following syntax. So this is the syntax that I can follow it. I can use to declare an array in my program. So data type, I have to use it, data type, and then variable name, and left square bracket, and size, and right square bracket followed by semicolon. So this is the syntax related to declaring an array in your program. So data type, and then give one space after that variable name, within the square bracket specify the size of the array, and then followed by semicolon. And coming to data type here, the data type is any valid type you can use it. So here what type of data I am storing? I am storing the same kind of data only. If I want to store integer data, then I have to declare int data type. If I want to store character data, I have to declare char. If I want to store floating point data, I have to write here float only. And variable name is nothing but this is your array name. This is your array name. How you are going to write this variable name is by using identifier rules only. So use the identifier rules and specify this variable name. This variable name is same as your array name only. And coming to here in the square bracket, here you have to specify the size. So for how many elements, okay, for how many elements you want to create your array, that count you have to specify here in the square brackets. Inside the square brackets, you have to specify it. Suppose I want to store 10 integer elements. Then here I have to specify that size like 10. That numeric value I have to specify here. So for how many elements you want to store into that particular array, you have to specify that size here. Okay. Now see here, for your understanding purpose, here I given one example, simple example. Here I want to store 10 integer elements. Then I'm going to create my array like this. So int is the data type. I want to store 10 integer elements. Int is the data type. And ARR is the variable name, is nothing but array name. And size you have to specify like 10. That means integer constant you have to specify it. 10 you have to specify it. Once if you write this kind of statement, what compiler is going to do means compiler will allocate 10 blocks of memory. Compiler will allocate 10 blocks of memory like this, it will allocate. Okay, 10 blocks of memory, and array index starts with 0 and ends by n minus 1. Here I specified like ARR of 10. 10 means array index starts with 0 and ends by n minus 1. This first block is related to the first element. Okay, this is a one element. The second block is related to the second element. The third block is related to this third element. That means second index is related to the third element, and this third index is related to the fourth element. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on 9. These are called as index. These are called as index. Okay. So these are called as index. And now entire this 10 blocks of memory is referring with a name called the array name. Whatever the name you specified, with that name, it will refer it. Okay. Now, whatever the element you are entering the first time, that element will be stored in the 0th index location. The first element, whatever you enter, that element will be stored in the 0th index location. Whatever the element you enter in the second time, that element will be stored in the first index. Like that, next consecutive memory locations, the elements will be stored like this. The elements, whatever you enter one after the other, all the elements will be stored in, starting from the first index, next index, like that, it will store like that. And coming to here, another important point. So here, each and every element is assigned with some address. So this 0th index is assigned with some address. That means this element is assigned with some address. This element is assigned with some address. This element is also assigned with some address, and so on. Up to this last element also will assign with some address. Here, the first element address is called base address of the array. Okay. Base address of the array. First element address is called base address of the array. So with the help of that base address only, if I want to perform any kind of operations, we can do it. Okay. The first element address is called base address of the array. Okay. So this is all about some introduction related to the array declaration. Now coming to the actual thing. Now see here. Some other important points. So if I want to create, as per our example, if I want to create an employee, employee age array, then I am going to write like this: int, and then ages I want to store, then I'm going to write like this: age of 100, followed by semicolon. I want to store 100 employees age information, then I'm going to write like this. This is my declaration statement related to the array, int age of 100. If I write like this, what compiler is going to do means it will allocate 100 blocks of memory, and index starts with 0 and ends by n minus 1, that is 99. So like this I will get it. Like this I will get all of you see here, age of 0, it will represent 0th element. That means the starting element. Age of 1 represents second element. age of 2 represents third element. Likewise and so on, age of 99 will represent the last element in the array. Last element in the array. Now, here important point is arrays can be a single dimensional or multi-dimensional. So array can be, it may be a single dimensional or multi-dimensional. How I can say a particular array is a single dimensional or a particular array is a multi-dimensional means based on the number of subscripts. Based on the number of subscripts. So here subscript is nothing but this opening and closing square bracket is called subscript. If I specify after array name one subscript, then it is called one dimensional array. If I specify two subscripts after the array name, then it is called as two dimensional array. Like this. Suppose if I write like this, int a of 2 means it is having only one subscript, then it is called one dimensional array. If I write one more subscript with 3, it is called two dimensional array. If I specify one more thing, it is called three dimensional array. That means if an array is having only one subscript, that means one square bracket, then it is called one dimensional array. And more than one, if you specify, then it is called multi-dimensional array. Okay, if it is having only one means it is called one dimensional array. If you specify two subscripts, that means two square brackets, then it is called two dimensional array. Three subscripts means three dimensional. More than one dimension is called multi-dimensional arrays. Now, coming to the important point here, one-dimensional arrays are also called as vectors. So one-dimensional arrays are also called as vectors, whereas coming to two-dimensional arrays, they are known as matrices. This is the important point. One-dimensional arrays called as vectors, so two-dimensional arrays are known as matrices. Okay. So based on the number of subscripts only, we can say that a particular array is a one-dimensional or two-dimensional or multi-dimensional. Okay. And next one, see some examples. See some examples. So here, the first example, if you observe, they created integer array with size 100. That means 100 blocks of memory will be allocated in this case. Okay, they want to store 100 integer values. They created array like this. So age is an array which is having size 100. So it can store 100 integer values. Now see the second one, float sal of 15. Float sal of 15. That means I want to store 15 employees salary information. Generally salary is in the form of floating point only. So we have to write the array declaration like this, float sal of 15. Then this sal is an array which is used to store 15 employees salary information. And next one, last one, char grade of 20. So here the point is, before moving to this last declaration statement, here the point is, all of you see here, if I want to store single character, then I am going to use character data type and I have to specify the variable name x. Okay, so what this x is going to do, this x is going to hold a single character. It may be alphabet, digit or special symbol. Now what I want to do is, I want to store collection of characters. Is nothing but group of characters I want to store it. Okay, group of characters is nothing but string I want to store it. String I want to store it. That means collection of characters I want to store it. Then in C language, there is no separate data type to store string information. Okay, there is no separate data type to store the string information. For that also what we are going to use means we will use character data type only. Char, this time what I want to do, I want to store a group of characters. Is nothing but string I want to store it. String I want to store it. Then I am going to write my declaration statement like this. Suppose I want to store 10 characters. Then I am going to write x, that means variable name and opening square bracket, 10 I have to specify it. Okay. So first one is, see these statements. First declaration is related to, I am declaring a variable of character type. So it can hold only a single character. It may be alphabet, digit or special symbol. Whereas coming to the second one, here x is declared like character array. X is declared like character array. What it is going to do? It will store 10 characters. It's nothing but a collection of characters I can store it. It's nothing but a string I can store it. So that is the difference between first one and second one. Okay. So here there is no separate data type in C language called string data type. For string also we will use character data type only. So if you want to store string means you have to declare your statement like this, char followed by array name And then within the subscript, specify how many characters you want to store it. That count you have to specify it. That count you have to specify it. Now see here, if I declare the statements like this, int age of 100, float sal of 15, char grade of 20, what compiler is going to do? Compiler will allocate based on the size, the number of blocks in the computer's memory. Like this, it will allocate. For first declaration, we will get these blocks of memories. So age of 0, age of 1, age of 2, and then so on, age of 99. Array index starts with 0 and ends by n minus 1. Like that, for salary also, we will get like this. Sal of 0. Sal of 0 is 0th element. Sal of 1 is first element. Sal of 2 is second element. Like that, we will get. So same case is going to happen for the last declaration, char grade of 20 also. So the compiler will allocate 20 blocks of memory like this. So grade of 0 represents the 0th element. Grade of 1 represents first element. Grade of 2 represents second element. Like that, it will represent it. Now, when the array is declared, the compiler allocates space in the memory sufficient to hold all the elements of the array. Okay, so when array is declared, what compiler is going to do? It will allocate sufficient space in the memory to hold all the elements of the array. So the compiler should know the size of the array at the time of compile time. See, if you want to use some set of elements in your program, means first you have to declare array with some size. If you specify it at the time of declaration, then the compiler will reserve those many blocks of memory to store those elements. Okay, so here the size for the array you have to specify it. It is a mandatory. Based on that size only, compiler will allocate those many blocks of memory. Hence, this is the important point. Now, whatever I'm going to do, hence, we cannot use variables. We cannot use variables for specifying the size of the array in the declaration. So, at the time of declaring the size of the array, you are not supposed to use variables. You are not supposed to use variables to specify the size. Whereas symbolic constants, I can use it. I can use symbolic constants. It can be used to specify the size of the array. This is the important point. See, how many elements you want to store, that count you have to specify at the time of declaration of the array. Based on that only, the compiler will allocate those many blocks of memory. So how I can specify that size means, directly I can specify that count. And if you don't want to specify that count, means the another possibility is through symbolic constants I can specify that size. Through symbolic constants I can specify the size, and at the time of specifying the size, you are not supposed to use any variables. This is invalid. Variables, you are not supposed to use it. Now see here. Here I given one example. Here, this will give you some clarity related to specifying the size. Now see here. First one is I specified a symbolic constant by using hash define, and the size is the symbolic name. 10 is the size I want to assign. 10 is the size I want to assign. And inside the main, if you observe, here I declared one ordinary variable. Size is another variable. With size 15 I specified. With size 15 I specified. After that, if you observe here, two array declaration statements I am using here. Float salary of SIZD. This is symbolic constant name I am using. Okay, so here I want to specify the size inside the square bracket. How I can specify means, directly I can specify the size like this. In these examples, how I given for age of 100, age of 15, or age of 20, like that I can specify. The another possibility is through symbolic constant we can specify. So here the symbolic name you can write it here. Okay, this is valid. This is valid. And coming to here, another declaration, array declaration, int marks of size I specified. Size is nothing but this is the size. This is the variable I want to use it. So this is invalid. Don't use this kind of things. Okay, if you want to specify the size of the array, the possibilities you can directly specify the constant value, or otherwise use symbolic constant. Use symbolic constant and don't use any variables inside this square bracket. The second declaration statement is invalid. Okay, so this way we can initialize array. We can assign the size for the array. Now, coming to the another important topic, initialization of an array. Initialization of an array. How we can initialize an array? Now see here. So after array is declared, it must be initialized. Suppose I declared an array with some size. Age of 100 I declared. That means 100 blocks of memory will be allocated. Next, what I have to do? I have to store 100 elements into that locations. Okay, that means I have to initialize that array. I have to initialize that array. Suppose if you are not initialized, what are the values the array is going to hold? Means it will hold garbage values. That means the compiler is going to generate a random value. That value is called garbage value. And an array can be initialized at two ways. One is a compile time or runtime. So whatever the array you declared, okay, those many blocks of memory will be allocated. In each and every block, what I have to do? I have to assign some values. If you are not supposed to assign any value, by default, what it is going to hold means it will hold garbage values. So in how many ways I can initialize an array means array can be initialized in two ways. One is a compile time initialization and next one is runtime initialization. Now see the compile time initialization. What is meant by compile time initialization? So compile time initialization of an array element is same as ordinary variable initialization. Okay. So compile time initialization is nothing but which is the same as ordinary variable initialization. Now see here compile time initialization is nothing but, all of you observe here. So compile time initialization is nothing but, suppose I declared one variable int a equal to 5. Suppose if I assign like this, is nothing but it is a compile time initialization. Whatever the value I want to give for a, I am initializing it at the time of program itself. This is nothing but compile time initialization. Okay. So in the same way, we are going to initialize for the declared array also. Okay, for the declared array, the same way we are going to initialize it. Now for that, we need to follow the syntax. This is the syntax you have to use it. So what is the syntax means? This is a syntax for compile time initialization. See here. So first data type you have to specify and then array name, size equal to left flower brace and then list of values, right flower brace followed by semicolon. So this is the way you have to use to initialize values for declared array. If you are not supposed to initialize, by default what it is going to hold means it will hold garbage values. Okay, we declared our array is not for storing garbage values. We declared array for storing some values only. So what way we can initialize values means by using the following syntax only. So data type you have to specify and then array name, size equal to, within the flower braces you have to specify the list of values what you want to assign for. Marks is the array name, size they specify like 4. Okay, so 4 they specified and then equal to, within the flower braces, see here 4 elements we have to initialize for this array. Why? Because the size specify like 4. So 4 elements we have to initialize for this particular array. So 67, 87, 56 and 77. All these elements must and should be separated with commas. Now whatever the element first you are giving the 67, it will be stored in 0th index location. That means marks of 0th element is 67. Next, marks of 1 is 87. Marks of 2 is 56. Marks of 3 is 77. So these elements will be stored the way how you initialize here. The first element will be stored in 0th index. Second element will be stored in first index. This element will be stored in second index. And this element will be stored in last index. So float is a data type. Area is array name. 5 they specified. Inside this flower braces, we must and should specify 5 elements. But see here, in this case, they specified only 3 elements, 23.4, 6.8, 5.5. But the size is 5. But we initialize here only 3 elements. Then compile what it is going to do means the remaining elements, it will assign zeros. Okay. Size is 5 I specified. That means maximum 5 elements I can store. Minimum means it is my choice. I can store single element. I can store 2 elements. I can store 3 elements also. So the remaining elements what are left, that will be compiler is going to assign like zeros. So this is the way to initialize values into the declared array. Now see here the last case. See the last case. See the last case. See this last case. So here I declare one more array, and this is my array name. I specified size 4. So right side, if you observe in the flower braces, I added 5 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements I added. Now what happens? See here. Here the size is 4, but I added 5 elements. In this case, the compiler is going to generate an error. Why? Because the size, whatever you specified, is compared with the right side, the number of elements. Right side, it is having more number of elements compared to the size. In that case, compiler is going to generate error. Okay, so whatever the size you specified, up to that size only, I can give that number of elements. Beyond that, if I try, the compiler is going to give an error. Okay, so this is the way we can initialize, and at the time of initialization, you have to use flower braces, and every element must should be separated with commas. So this is nothing but it's a compile time initialization. Now we will move to the another one, that is runtime initialization. Runtime array initialization. How we can initialize value at the runtime. That means at execution, how we can assign a value to an array. So an array can also be initialized at runtime using scanf function. Okay, an array can be initialized at runtime using scanf function. That means with the help of scanf, whatever the value you want to assign for an array, we can assign it. This approach is used for initializing large arrays or to initialize arrays with user specified values. Suppose if you want to initialize your array with your own values, then we can do with the help of runtime initialization. How we can do it means with the help of scanf function we can do it. So this is the same way how we read one element into a particular variable. Same procedure only. Now see here. Now here we will see some more examples. After that we will move to the program and we will see some programs. Now see here some other examples for your understanding purpose. So int marks of 5. Here size is 5, marks is array name, 5 elements are initialized here. Here marks of 0 represents 50. That means the first element whatever you are giving here will be stored in 0th index. Second element will be stored in first index, like that. So marks of 0, what it represents means it represents 50. Marks of 1 represents 85. Marks of 2 represents 70. Marks of 3 represents 65. Marks of 4 represents 95. So array index starts with 0 and ends by n minus 1. Now see here, see these two cases. See these two cases. In these two cases, we declared two arrays and empty subscripts I specified. Empty subscripts. If you observe, empty subscripts I specified. Now see here, right side, here I initialized totally 6 values. In the first case, total I initialized 6 values. So here the compiler, how it is going to treat the size of the array means the number of initializers, how many you used at the right side, that count it will take, and that is going to be treated like the size of the array. So here right side I initialize totally 6 values. So marks array size is 6. The compiler will assign like marks array with size 6. So this is the thing we are going to use it for only for initialization. At the time of initialization, you can specify the size as well as you can specify an empty subscript also. If you specify empty subscript at the time of initialization, and whatever the right side you are assigning the number of elements, that count is going to be treated as the array size. So the same case is going to happen for second example also. Here also I specified empty square bracket. Right side I assigned only 3 values. So sal array size is 3, like it will consider. So don't use like this. That means don't declare your array like this. Int x followed by semicolon. Don't declare like this. Okay. If you declare like this, the compiler will give you error. At the time of declaration, you have to specify the size, 5 or 10, whatever it is, how many elements you want to store, that thing you can write it. So when I can specify empty square brackets means at the time of initialization, suppose you are declaring the array as well as you want to initialize some values, then only I have to do like this. Okay. In that case, right side, whatever the values I am assigning, okay, right side, whatever the values I am assigning, it will take that count. That count will be treated like the size of the array. Okay. So don't forget, you have to remember like this. Okay. And then after that, see here, another example. Int marks of 5 I specified. Int marks of 5 I specified. Now see here. So here right side I initialized only 2 values, 99 and 78. So 99 and 78 I initialized. The compiler for the remaining elements, it will assign 0. Why? Because the size is 5. Maximum 5 I can store. Minimum means it is my choice. I can store single element or two elements also, I can store it. So remaining three elements left. Those three elements, what compile is going to assign means it will assign like zeros. So marks of 0, 0 is 99. Marks of 1 is 78. The remaining three elements, see here. Marks of 2, marks of 3, marks of 4. All are zeros only. Okay. So like that we can do that initialization. And next we will see another thing related to the initialization. See here. Suppose if I initialize, I declared array with size 100, I initialize 0. Then what compile is going to assign for all the elements means all the elements will be assigned with 0 only. All the elements will be assigned with 0 only. Now see here, this is important point. Now whatever I am telling, this is important point. So we can't copy all the elements of an array to another array by simply assigning it to the other array. Suppose I declared one array with some elements. I declared as well as initialized one array with some elements. I declared one more array. Okay. If you observe this example, int a of 5. Here I declared an array with size 5. 5 elements I initialized. And here I declared one array. Okay. I declared one array. So b of 5 I declared. Now what I want to do, I want to copy all the elements of array A to array B. Then you are not supposed to write like this, B equal to A. So B equal to A, if you write, then it is invalid operation. Okay. Now what I want to do here, I want to copy every element from A to every individual location of B. Then if I write like this, the compiler will give error. Now what we have to do means, we have to perform our operation or task like in this manner. Why? Because see here, if I declared an array like this, if I declared an array like this, A of 5 means I will get my array like this. A of 0, A of 0, A of 1, A of 2, A of 3, A of 4. So here every individual location is having one element. So one will be at this 0th index location. 1, here it is a 2, here it is 3, here it is a 4, here it is 5. Now what I want to do, I want to copy all these elements into second array. That is second array declared like this. B of 5 means B of 0, B of 1, B of 2, B of 3, and B of 4. I want to copy in their individual locations. In 0th location, I have to copy this one, and in B of 1 location, I have to copy 2. In B of 2 location, I have to copy 3, and this 4 is copied into B of 3. This 5 is copied into B of 4, like that. I'm not copying here single element. I want to copy entire array. Then if I write like this, the compiler will give error. Then what I have to do? I have to use this kind of syntax. So far, you have to use the loop. Why? Because I have to start copy from 0th index to the last index. I have to start copy from 0th index to last index. So I have to use for loop. So for I equal to 0, array index starts with 0 and ends by n minus 1. That means I less than 5, I have to specify, and then I plus plus. Then inside this for loop, you have to write like this: B of I equal to A of I. If I equal to 0, 0 is less than 5, condition true, control enters inside of this loop. B of I equal to A of I means in the first case, B of 0 equal to A of 0, B of 0 equal to A of 0. That is the meaning. That means I want to assign A of 0th location element into B of 0th location. A of 0th element is 1. I want to assign it to B of 0. So like that, this loop will repeat it. So this is the procedure when we apply. If you want to copy one array elements into another array, then we can go with this kind of procedure. So all of you follow the same way only. And next, now we will see some examples. After that, we will go with some other topics. For 1D array, we will see some examples. All of you see here. So here I am declaring one array with the size 5. int a of 5. That means I declared one array with size 5. That means I want to store 5 integer elements. Then CLR and after that printf. So I declared the array. So first we will see compile time initialization program, and after that runtime initialization we will see it. So a equal to a of 5 equal to, I want to initialize values to this array. So I am taking 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. So here I initialize totally 5 values into this particular array. This 10 will be stored in a of 0, 20 will be stored in a of 1, a of 2, a of 3, a of 4, like that it will be stored. So I declared array as well as I initialized, and after that I want to display all the elements. How I can display means all of you see here \n elements in the array are. Elements in the array are. So this is the program for compile time initialization. I declared an array as well as I initialized some values to that array. Now I am trying to display all the values in the array. Now see here, I want to display the elements from starting index location to ending index location. Starting index value is 0, ending index value is n-1. So I have to use for loop only. Why? Because I have to I have to move each and every location of the array from starting position to ending. So use I equal to 0. That means array index starts with 0. Declare that I also like integer type. And then semicolon, I is less than 5 and I plus I have to use it. Okay. And inside of this one, use printf, and I want to display with some clear manner. Okay, with some clear manner I want to display it. That is, the 0th element in the array is the 0th element in the array is percentile D. Again I am going to get. Okay, so I want to display like with that clear information. 0th element is 10, first element is 20, like that I want to display. So here I am going to use I, and then so a of 0 will give 10, a of 1 will give 20, a of 2 will give 30. In general manner, how I can write here means a of I can write it, a of I, and after that get ch you specify it. So what we will get? We will get each and every element that are there in the array, and we will get all those elements in their respective index positions. I am going to execute this program. All of you see here. Okay. So I got the output, but use \n, you will get line by line. See here. So elements in the array are, the 0th element in the array is 10, first element is 20, second element is 30, third element is 40, fourth element is 50. So here I am displaying the index as well as I am displaying the value. If you want to display the value means you have to write like this, array name followed by within the subscript specify that index I. Okay. Suppose see here, I want to display like this. Specifically, I want to display the particular index value I want to display it. Particular index value I want to display it. Then how I'm going to write it. See here, printf the element at index. I want to display element at this particular index. 30 I want to display it. 30 is at which index? So 10 is at 0th index, 20 is at first index, 30 is at second index. So 30 I want to display it. So the element at index 2 is percentile D. Then how I can write means like this. I have to write a of 2. If I write a of 2, I will give that particular index value. In generalized manner, you can write like this: a of I. So particular value you want means you have to specify array name followed by that index position. If you specify, we can get that particular value. Now see here, element at index 2 is 30 I got. Element at index 2 is 30 I got. So like that, we can display the elements also like this. And now here I am doing some simple modification. I want to display the addresses of each and every block. That means 0th index address I want to display, first index address I want to display. Like that I want to display all the indexes as well as their addresses and values. So here I am adding some simple modification. I am doing some simple modification. All of you see here. And its address is, so generally address is of unsigned integer only. Use percentile U. Unsigned integer means percentile U. Here at the end, specify comma, and then I want to get the address. So specify ampersand A of I. Okay, so I want to get each and every index related address. So specify like this, ampersand A of I, then I can get the address. Addresses are unsigned integers. So specify format specifier percentile U. So then I will get the addresses. See here how I am going to get the addresses. See there. So 0th element in the array is 10 and its address is 65516. Okay. Next element is 65518. Next to 20, 22, 24. If you observe for every address, I got the difference of two value. Two difference I got for each and every address. Why I got two means all of you see here. I declared this array like integer type. Integer is going to occupy 2 bytes of memory. So because of that reason, there is a difference of 2 bytes from one value to another value. Okay, so this is the program related to compile time initialization as well as displaying the addresses of the variables. Now I'm going to do some simple modification. Now I want to read the values. I want to read the values at the runtime. Then what I have to do? See here, I'm using the same array only. I'm using the same array, A of 5, A with the 5 I declared. Now here array is declared. Array is declared. Initially, if you are not assigned anything, what this A is going to hold means 5 garbage values it is going to hold. 5 garbage values it is going to hold. Now what I want to do, I want to initialize values to all these variables. I want to initialize values to all these array variables. Array elements I want to initialize it. Then how I am going to do means, again use same for loop. For I equal to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. First you have to enter elements into array. Enter, I'm writing statement like this, enter elements into array. So I created an array with size 5. It will create an array. Index starts with 0 and ends by n minus 1. So I have to read one element at the time of execution of my program. Whatever the element you first entered, that value it needs to store in 0th index, next value in first index, next value in second index, like that I have to store it. So for that, we need to use for loop only. For I equal to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. Here use scanf. Scanf percentile D. Why? Because array is declared like integer. Use ampersand array name square bracket I. I value is 0. If I value is 0, I am reading one value into address location of A of I. That means A of 0 location, I am storing one value. If I value is 1, I am storing one more value in A of 1, A of 2. Like that, this loop is going to repeat 5 times, and 5 times you are going to enter 5 different values, and all the values will be stored from starting index to ending index. Now, this is the way we can read values at runtime. Okay. Now I want to display the values. So printf \n. See, 1 minute, the network is disconnected. Now I am displaying the values in the array R, values in the array R. So again, I have to retrieve values from first index to, that means 0th index to last index. Again, I have to use for loop. For I equal to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. I have to use it. And after that, Here I have to display it. For that I am using printf backslash n I am using, and percentile d comma a of I have to specify. So a of I means every time loop is going to repeat from 0 to last index. So a of 0 value I will get. So totally this for loop will repeat 5 times. So every time I will get 0th index to last index values. Now see here how we are going to get the output here. Semicolon is missing. And here also semicolon is missing. See here, enter elements into array. I am entering elements 4, 5, 8, and then 10. 5 elements I entered. Why? Because array size I specify like 5. So 3 will be stored in 0th index, 4 will be in first index, 5 will be in second, like that it will be stored. I am displaying the elements as it is. Now see here, I got the elements as it is only. So the order, whatever the way you entered, in the same manner only it will store. Now here I am going to do one simple modification. Okay. I'm going to do one simple modification. This time I'm going to give array size like 7, and I want to perform summation operation among all the elements. So whatever the 7 elements I'm going to enter, okay, all the 7 elements I want to perform, I want to add, and I want to perform some operation, and I want to display the resultant value. So for that I'm using one variable called sum. Initially I'm not yet started the sum operation, so initialize it by 0, and here every time I am reading the value, once if I am reading, here I am going to use that variable sum equal to sum plus, every time I am reading the value. I am reading value using scanf. Okay, so I am using a of I. In the address location I am storing. So here write the statement like this: sum equal to sum plus a of I. So every time this loop will repeat from 0th to last index. A of 0 means I will get that particular value. A of 1 means I will get that particular value. I am adding every time that value to that sum variable. So here I am closing this curly brace. And after that, these statements, there is no need of these statements. I am using comment line. If you specify something in comment line, the compiler will not execute those statements. So finally, I want to display that sum value. So printf sum of all the elements in the array are sum of all the elements in the array percentile d comma in some variable only we are storing. So sum only I have to print it. Okay, so backslash n I am using. Now see here. Here I declared array with size 7. Runtime I am reading all the values. Every time at the time of reading itself, I am performing the summation operation. And whatever the sum value finally I got, I am storing it in the sum variable only. So see here. Here I want to enter 7 elements. 10. So here also change this one. I specified 5 only. Change this one. Why? Because our loop needs to repeat 7 times. So 4, 5, 1, 9, 10, 11, 12. Totally 7 values I entered. Now see here. Sum of all the entered elements, that is 52 we got. Okay. In the same manner only we can perform any kind of operation using this 1D arrays. So this is one-dimensional array programs. Okay. Here I specified only one subscript after the array name. So these are called one-dimensional arrays. Now we will see another example, that is I want to find out maximum and minimum element in the list of 7 elements. The list of 7 elements, I want to find out maximum and minimum element. Okay, then how I can do it? All of you see here. So I declared array with size 7. In order to find maximum and minimum, I need to use one variable. That variable I am taking like max and min. Okay, so max is for storing maximum value, min is for storing minimum value. Now, if you observe here, so using this particular for loop and that scanf statement, we are reading the values at runtime, and after that, see here, I'm initializing max and min to a of 0th element. So I am assuming, before starting my process to find maximum and minimum, I am assuming a of 0 is my maximum as well as a of 0 is my minimum value. So first I am assuming like my maximum and minimum value is a of 0. Like that I am assuming. Suppose if this is not my maximum, I have to find maximum element from first index to the last index. Okay, first index to last index. And here I am going to write the actual code to find the maximum and minimum from the set of elements. So if conditional statement only we have to use. If A of I have to compare every element with this particular elements, max and min. A of I is greater than max. If A of I is greater than max, what we can conclude? A of I is the maximum value. So initialize that A of I to max. Suppose, same case we have to write for minimum also. A of I is less than minimum. A of I is less than minimum, then what we can conclude? A of I is the minimum, then assign that minimum into A of I. Okay, A of I. Like that, you have to write it. Okay, so conditional statement only you have to use. Every element we have to compare with the max variable as well as the minimum variable. From that, we can conclude and we can display that maximum and minimum. So max backslash n, max equal to percentile d, comma, min equal to percentile d. So max and min I am displaying. Okay, so here I declared an array with size 7. Using runtime initialization, I am adding values into that particular array. This program is for finding maximum and minimum in this set of elements. So before starting my process, I initialized max min by 0th element. If it is not a maximum and minimum, then I have to find out maximum and minimum element from the remaining set of elements. So what I have to do? I have to compare this 0th element with the remaining elements. Total remaining elements I have to compare. So inside that for loop, I have to write the logic for maximum and minimum. How I can write means using conditional statement only I can write it. Okay. So here I am storing the maximum value. Here I am storing the minimum value. Now see here I am going to execute this program. So statement missing semicolon. Here we have to give semicolon. Now see here I am entering elements. So -1 I entered 3, 4, 7, 72, 773 and then 45, 10,000 and then 768. Okay, from this we have to find out the maximum element. Okay, so maximum is 10,000 from the given set of element. Minimum is -1. So whatever the values you take, it will work. This program will work for those values. So 10, 120, 35 and then 57 and 67. Now see here, maximum is 120, minimum is 6. In this way, we can perform any kind of program by using this one-dimensional arrays. So all of you must and should go through the remaining problems related to one-dimensional arrays. There is a one topic that is a pending. I will discuss that topic now itself. It will take only 2 to 3 minutes only. All of you listen carefully. And after that, the remaining topic is multi-dimensional arrays are there. That means two-dimensional array that we will see by tomorrow's class. Now I will discuss one simple topic. It's a very, very important as well as an easy one only. All of you see here. This is the topic related to one-dimensional arrays as well as functions. One-dimensional arrays as well as functions. Already we discussed the functions concept. So this is the topic. It is going to combine with array concept as well as functions. So passing individual array elements to a function. This is the topic related to passing individual array elements to a function. Suppose I created one array with some set of elements. I want to pass each and every element to that particular function. How I can pass it? All of you see here. This is the main method. This is the user-defined function. This is the main method and this is the user-defined function. This one is the main, this is the user-defined function. In this array, I declared, in this main method, I declared an array with size 10. Okay, in this main method, I declared an array with size 10. And next one, using this for loop, I am reading elements into this particular array. Okay, so 10 times I want to repeat, 10 times the scanf function will be executed. Every time I am reading one element. So each time, all of you observe here, I am calling this user-defined function, CHECK. CHECK. And here I am using, I want to pass array individual element. That means A of 0 element, I want to pass A of 1, A of 2. In general, how I can write that statement means ARR of I, like that I have to write. Okay, so check is a user-defined function. Here, whenever I am reading one element, that element I am passing it to this user-defined function. Okay, So if I value is 0, I'm going to pass ARR of 0. Once the control is at this position, at user defined function, then the control transfers from here to the definition part. The definition part is here. This ARR of I value is copied into this num. This ARR of I value copied into this particular num, and here onwards, the user defined function will be started its execution. This num will be, here I am checking this num. Okay, here I am checking this num. If num divided by 2 equal to 0, I am printing like even. If num divided by 2 is not equal to 0, I am printing like odd. So in this way, I am passing every element to this user defined function, and the definition part I am checking whether that particular element is even or odd. Okay, so once the execution of this user defined function is over, again control transfers to the updation part of this for loop. Updation part of this for loop, I value will be incremented. With the incremented value, again it will check the condition. Next time I am going to read one more value, and that value I am passing it to again the user defined function check. The user defined function check I am passing. This time this I value will be different. ARR of I value will be different. Again I am calling the same function, the control transfer to the definition part, and that ARR of I is actual argument. It is copied into formal parameter. And again control enters inside of this definition part. Again we are checking whether it is a even or odd. Like this, once the definition part is over, again control transfer to the updation part, I value will be incremented. Again I am going to read one more value, and again I am calling the user defined function with another index. So like this loop will repeat. This loop will repeat 10 times, and 10 times this user defined function will be called, and 10 times these values will be copied into num. Okay, so this is the way we can pass individual array elements to a function. Individual array elements to a function. And next, what I want to do is, I want to pass whole array. I want to pass whole array. How I can pass it? So this thing we will see by the next class. All of you can join for your next class. Whatever is there, all of you can join for your next class. This concept under multi-dimensional arrays we will see in the next session. Okay. All of you must and should go through the arrays concept and see some more examples. So thanks for joining. All of you can join your next class.